Welcome back, guys. Tonight I've got a long-term review over one of those 10,000 Bristle toothbrushes. I've had mine for just over 2 years. I know, 2 years. And I feel like I can go ahead and debunk some of the reviews I've seen on this. Also discuss some things that you probably want to know. So with that said, check it out. Alright guys, so on the 10,000 Bristle toothbrush. You'll never see it, of course, but it's Zahn, Z-A-H-N. I will leave a link down in the description. As far as the long-term review goes, I'm going to kind of go over the pros of it, some of the cons, the Amazon reviews overall of it, and then some real-world testing that was done, and then, of course, ultimately my experience. So, starting with the pros. It is very soft bristle toothbrush. It's deceivingly, key word there, soft. It does have a lot of backbone, so don't think you're not going to get your teeth clean, and I'm going to go into that way more later. So it does work good. As for the other pros, for people, I think this is where it's originally marketed for. For people who have gum issues or sensitivity issues in their mouth for whatever reason it may be, this is kind of aimed toward you. And also for the people that do want just a better, easier going experience, that's kind of where the pros end. As for the cons, this is where to start. So the first complaint that I see is splaying. So, a lot of people complain because the bristles just splay out. And this is my toothbrush after 2 years and 2 months. When it comes to splaying, quit pushing so hard. You're not digging, you're brushing your teeth. It's just like shaving. You're just doing a surface action. You're not digging. As you saw, and as the picture showed, that's the splaying I got after over 2 years. So as far as splaying goes, again, it's deceivingly soft, so you don't think it's working, so people press harder. And even with regular toothbrushes, I know I was guilty of it, people press way too hard. So that's kind of just a universal issue. So that's a debunk. Snapping the handles. I've never snapped a handle on a toothbrush before. It's like people who break clipboards. I just don't get it. So, snapping the handles. Now, before I go any further, I did a lot of research, and I chose this brand for a specific reason. Build quality. Now, here is the flex on it. I am kind of, most of what you're seeing is me going up and down, but I literally never have to flex it. It never flexes. It brushes just fine. So as far as the handle snapping, be careful. And lastly, and this is a very valid concern, and this is a very important one, mold. Yeah, with all these bristles, there is a very good chance for mold and growth in there. Here's what I do. Pay attention. I brush my teeth, and then I stick it under water, clean it out, do what I gotta do. And then when I get done, make sure it's completely cleaned out, I'll squeeze it together and then blow in it, a few times really hard to get as much water as possible, and then let it air dry. Now, I know some of you travel and you're going to put it in those little brush holder things. You can do that, but let it air dry as much as you can, because that's a breeding ground for bacteria. So mold, just make sure it's well ventilated, and most importantly, make sure you really at least wring it out. Okay, so that problem's fixed. After 2 years, mine smells like a toothbrush. Sure, I clean it with soap time to time for the buildup, but this smells like a toothbrush. Something that nobody has mentioned in any reviews or any videos, and this is kind of important, something I've noticed. I've used this every single day or every other day, whenever it may be, for the last 2 years. The one time that I have switched to a regular toothbrush for a road trip, it didn't feel very good. It felt really bad, actually. Your gums get used to not being scraped around and stuff by a regular toothbrush. So that may cause some issues if you aren't used to it. Just a heads up. But honestly, this is just as portable as a regular one, just with a little bit more care. The other con, which I can justify this, I bought this, it's $12 now, but I bought it for $8. It's an expensive toothbrush. There is no denying that. So that's the end of the cons. Now, as far as the real world testing that was done, I found on YouTube a gentleman, and I believe some other people did it. They had these like purple rocks or whatever they put in their mouth and chew it, and it dyes their whole mouth purple. And the goal was to test all these toothbrushes to see which can scrub it clean the best. Well, I kind of felt like at the time, and I genuinely feel like it now, they weren't trying very hard to get that off. No surprise, it's YouTube. And I'm going to explain why. Because out of the 2 years I've done this, even with a doctor looking at my teeth are exactly as clean. I can go 2 days without brushing my teeth for whatever reason, which is not common, and it takes it off instantly. It's just like a regular toothbrush, but better. So it does clean just as good, the same, maybe even better, maybe even quicker as a regular toothbrush. Now, you keep hearing me say 2 years of owning a toothbrush when you're supposed to replace them like every 6 months. Yes, let's get into that now. These don't really wear out like a regular toothbrush does. It looks about like it did when it was brand new over 2 years ago. Other than me sliding it around and stuff, the adhesive I checked, because this is a pad that's glued to the handle, not peeling up, bristles aren't extremely splayed out, no mold issues, no bristles falling out. It's like it's brand new still after 2 years. So yeah, I know you can get like a 2-pack for $1 or something somewhere, but it's $8, $12 now. Sure, there are different variations that may be cheaper, but as far as getting back into the real world testing, I don't think that's accurate. I'm a very thorough cleaner with my toothbrushes, so I'm just going to call that out now. So lastly, as far as my experiences, I've kind of already went over them and with the real world reviews. It's great. And the question is, will I ever go back to a regular toothbrush? Probably not. Not likely. I have enjoyed having this for the last 2 years, and I'm probably never going to go back. $8 well spent. Now, something I do kind of want to touch base on that I didn't touch base on earlier. The first time you use this, take this lightly. It does feel like you're putting toilet paper in your mouth the very first time you use it. So all of you clipboard breakers, heads up, you're not going to like it. The very first few strokes, it feels like toilet paper. You get used to it within the first session, and it feels like just like a regular full bristle toothbrush, except softer, and it has great backbone, which regular toothbrushes kind of don't. So yeah, that has been my run over for the Zan toothbrush, and all the other variants I'm sure are pretty similar. If you have any questions for me, put in the comments. If they're into review, try it, put in the comments. With that said, thank you guys very much for watching, and have a good night.